Have you ever wanted to read a letter that was meant for someone else? Have you ever wanted to travel the world but didn't have the time or the money? If so, you are in the right place. Welcome to In My Voice, the podcast where we read letters and share travel stories about places by our guests. I am your host Bwanaheri, and each week I'll guide you through these two different yet fascinating worlds. In the first segment, we'll read letters written to listeners like you about a variety of subjects, from heartwarming stories to heartbreaking experiences. These letters offer a unique perspective on the human experience. Some of them will make you laugh, while the others will bring a tear to your eye. But they all have one thing in common. They are written from the heart. In the second segment, we will embark on a journey to explore the world through travel stories. We will visit exotic destinations, meet interesting people, and experience the joys and challenges of traveling. Whether you are a seasoned traveler or someone who's always dreamed of seeing the world, you will find something to inspire you in these stories. So, join me every week as we dive into these two fascinating worlds in my voice. Subscribe now and don't miss an episode. Welcome back to another episode of In My Voice. I'm your host Bwanaheri, and I am very glad to be back with you again today. And today we have a letter that will surely bring a smile to your face. As you know, we often discuss serious topics on this podcast. But every now and then, it's good to take a light-hearted approach to things. And that's exactly what we'll be doing today. In this episode, we'll be diving into a letter that was written to the Ministry of Health of Uganda. Now, this letter starts off as an apology, but what follows is a hilarious twist on the state of healthcare in Uganda. Our dear writer takes us on a satirical journey, highlighting the absurdities in a light and humorous manner. I must clarify that the intention here is not to undermine the importance of healthcare or the struggles faced by many. Instead, we aim to bring some laughter and a fresh perspective to the table. So get ready to chuckle and enjoy a delightful twist on a serious topic. We have shared a lot of information about what is happening in the health sector, but the Ministry of Health has chosen to not respond to feedback they've gotten from the public. Now that is what has inspired this letter. Without further ado, let's jump right into this humorous and satirical letter as we explore the lighter side of the Ugandan healthcare system. All right, let's get started with this entertaining letter. Remember, it's all in good fun. So sit back, relax, and let's have a good laugh together. Here we go. Dear Ministry of Health, I am penning this letter to extend my uttermost condolences for the unintended uproar caused by the shedding light on the magnificent state of healthcare in Uganda to the international community. In hindsight, I now recognize the gravity of my mistake and humbly implore your forgiveness. Allow me to offer my apologies on behalf of all Ugandans who have dared to voice their grievances about our seemingly subpar healthcare system. It has become crystal clear to me that we have been led astray and woefully ungrateful for the magnificent efforts you have invested in this sector. In fact, it seems we owe you a grand apology for having the audacity enough to expect something substantial from a government that has perfected the art of doing as little as humanly possible. I must confess, I was dreadfully misled by the infamous Dr. Spire and Dr. Otile, masterminds behind the nefarious scheme of doctoring photographs depicting the sick and dilapidated government hospitals. Not to mention their uncanny ability to fabricate screenshots of complaints. It's astonishing how easily they convinced us. Wamma, How could we have allowed ourselves to wallow in such despicable misery? It has now dawned upon me that Uganda's healthcare system is unparalleled marvel. True world class. The poor health outcomes experienced by ordinary Ugandans are nothing more than a figment of their wild imaginations. I should have known better than to fall for the tales of suffering patients and grieving families who have been betrayed by the system. Silly me. It is glaringly obvious that our esteemed leaders only seek medical treatment abroad to assist the less fortunate in those countries. It has absolutely nothing to do with their own well-being, but rather a selfless act of charity bestowed upon those destitute souls in the backward third world European, American, and Asian nations. Furthermore, I am deeply ashamed to admit that I once grumbled about the alarmingly high mortality rate in Uganda. Thanks to communicable diseases, not to mention the child mortality rate that can be described as nothing short of a mere 39.171%. A terrific 391 children dying out of every 1,000. But alas, it is abundantly clear to me now that those who pass away are simply being summoned by the Almighty Himself. And who are we to question His divine will? As a nation of devout worshippers, instead of complaining, we should direct our efforts towards fervent prayers and profound gratitude for the fleeting moments we share with our loved ones. Inna lillahi wa inna ilayhi raji'un. Moreover, I wholeheartedly commend the ministry for their shrewd understaffing strategy in our referral hospitals. It is an ingenious maneuver that has resulted in our doctors and nurses becoming paragons of experience and efficiency. Let us raise our glasses and celebrate the understaffing of our esteemed institutions as a triumph, a cause for jubilation, rather than something to grumble about. After all, who needs an influx of additional doctors and nurses when we have the Almighty Himself by our side? And then, there are those medical interns disturbing your peace, but they want to be deployed. Can they just go and get jobs in those many Kampala malls like all of us? In a stunning revelation, I have come to realize that our generous donors have been squandering their time and resources in their futile attempts to aid us in improving our healthcare system. Really, what good can come from pouring money into a system that is already flawlessly perfect? Let us redirect our energies toward intensive prayer sessions and unwavering trust in the grand plan the Almighty has crafted for our lives. On that note, we humbly beseech your assistance in organizing a national prayer day to beseech the divine intervention of the Almighty. May we hope this time the doves will indeed soar to the heavens, carrying our heartfelt pleas. Once again, we tender our sincerest apologies for any inconveniences we may have caused by inadvertently highlighting the state of the Ugandan healthcare system. May we soon return to blissful ignorance. Yours, most pertinently, a misguided Ugandan. That will be all for today's episode of In My Voice. If you've enjoyed it, please share with your colleagues, share on your social media platforms, and always remember to come back here every week for a new episode of In My Voice. Until next time, I am your host, Bwanaheri.